Hello and welcome back to Women's Wisdom. I'm in conversation today with the beautiful Jannette Tibbs. And I have to admit, I've never met Jannette face to face. We are online buddies and we have met through a homeschooling, unschooling community, but discovered we have very many things in common. And one of the things I love about Jannette is she has a fabulous business called Magic Earth Mumma, and she produces the most beautiful skincare skincare, hair care, lip glosses, lip
Oh,
balms, fabulous range of products that she uses all of her training in a wide range of therapies to produce. So there's quite the story behind the birth of Magic Earth Mumma. So I'm going to let Jannette take you through that. So as you speak to us, Jannette, just I would love to hear part of your story, but also just tell us a little bit about what it is that you feel you can bring to help people in the situation that they're facing at the moment with this coronavirus, staying at home, immunity, homeschooling, all of those sorts of things all being thrown at people all at once, because I know you've got a lot of wisdom on that. So welcome, Jannette, and
no,
over to you.
thank you. Oh, thank you, Pip. That's lovely. Hello, everybody. Yes, okay, so we're going to break all of those questions down just a little bit so I can get to them. Maybe the first one is, yes, Magic Earth Mumma started probably, its inception was about 12 years ago. I had my third child, and I was thinking, there were many aspects of her birth that really kind of propelled me into the future that I have now. So I was not aware at the time that I was actually setting up my life for what's going on now, but really in hindsight, I was always thinking that the paradigm that we were living in back then just wasn't sustainable and that life was going to have to change and catch up. I also could read the signs that technology was going to play a much larger role in our lives. And so they were sort of the things around why I decided to become an online business. The Magic Earth Mumma was just really born out of necessity. My sensitivities had heightened. I had been struggling with dermatitis, perioral dermatitis, and other kinds of flare-ups within my own health system for my own body, my health, for such a long time that I just realized that the products that I had found that were great and organic and natural were still causing reactions for me. And that was the birth of Magic Earth Mumma. It was looking at some of the basic ingredients and going, well, I don't have these additives and I don't have these preservatives that the commercial companies were using. So can I make this product cleanly and not use those synthetic preservatives and additives, and can I still get the product to work for me, to do the job, and to keep for a decent amount of time? So that's also propelled me into a life as a product developer, which is just something that I think you fall into. So for the last 10 years I have been running Magic Earth Mumma, and it's completely synthetic free. And it uses the natural preservative qualities of many of the natural products that I use. So it's 100% natural, 100% petrochemical free and all that sort of thing. None of that crap belongs in your personal care. And that's where I started from. Those first few products that I made, some of them were disasters. Some of them were fantastic. Yep. And I kept the fantastic ones on and learned from the disasters and learned from the failures, as we all do in life. Yeah, so that's really the genesis of Magic Earth Mumma, and it's just developed from there. So it was really about me using that on my skin, finding it worked, finding I was happier with that than the stuff I was buying, and then family and friends would go, oh, I really like that thing that you gave me last week. Can I have a bit more of it or whatever? So then, I started the business as an actual business, and very nobly at the start, I was, not really making much money on it at all. And needs must, it became a business that I actually ended up thinking, right, well, I can't give things away at wholesale because I'm giving them away at wholesale. I had to actually figure out that I needed to become a real business, and that meant having the price structure that I also needed to implement. But it's really nice for me to see that a lot of my clientele don't actually buy my products when I put them on special. They buy them off special, and that just, you know, brings me to tears sometimes, because I've actually gone back to people and gone, oh, you know, you're a really good customer of mine. Did you realize you didn't use the voucher code or the coupon code? And they're like, Jannette, don't worry about it. You give so much, you know, away on sales, and the free stuff that you give us, we don't care. So that made me sit there and go, oh, all that financial aspect of it really isn't what runs it. The product runs it, and the outcomes for people, that's what makes it worthwhile.
Because your products are beautiful. Your products really are beautiful. So, you know, I've been using them for probably a couple of years now. So, yeah, and plan to incorporate more as I earn a bit more money and can invest a little more in my own skincare. But I certainly love the key products that I have, you know, tried and tested and come up with my favourite. And one of my favourite products is yours is the natural perfume. I don't like using that because that name, because it actually hints at the artificial stuff, which if you watch the interview today, you would see.
Yeah, I know.
But blessings. And I actually even had somebody a little while ago go, you smell good. What are you wearing? And I sort of like, well, just let me tell you. Because it's actually, it doesn't just explode off you. I don't walk anywhere with a great waft of scent coming along behind me. So you have to be reasonably close in proximity to be able to catch the scent, but to wear it is just beautiful. Kind of, for me, it's a bit like wearing really nice underwear. It's mine. It's for me, and it makes me feel.
Yes, what you mean.
Yeah. So it's not about everybody else. It's mine. So yeah, that's lovely. But I love a couple of things that you touched on there. You know, you've used the phrase needs must, and you know, trying to sort of monetize what is essentially something that's that was a necessity and a passion for you. So that's going to be something that is going to be in the forefront of a lot of people's minds as they are facing either reduced hours or lost jobs, or needing to sort of completely reassess where they are. So how was your mental state, I suppose, at the time, and how did you find your way through that? What's a tip? What's something that, a gem that came out of that
part of it as well?
Yeah.
The gem that came out of that time was exactly the raw confidence that making your own products actually gives you, and realizing that if you do enough research and you know that there's this funny thing. My sister, she's a writer, and she has this great way of saying things. Sometimes she's a little crude, but she used to say something about other writers that if they don't know their shit, they don't know shit. And I used to go, oh, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. And it was the same sort of thing. You would hear a lot of skincare people talking about products, and it was, they could have just been reading it out of the textbook. There was no emotion in there. There was no anecdotal evidence that they'd ever used this thing. So it really just didn't make a lot of sense to me to listen to those kind of people. There are some really amazing handcrafters out there, and everyone's got them in every state of Australia. You'll be able to find one near you. But a lot of people weren't doing what I'm doing back then, which was absolutely no synthetic preservative. And I was kind of talked down a few times about that. But then it gave me hope, because then I started to see a few more sort of popping up around on the internet, and backing it up with their research and their evidence. And it's, as a product developer, I don't make anything and just get rid of it. I make some things and I'll put them in the back of my cupboard for up to 2 years sometimes. So I am very confident that the things I make have the shelf life I tell you that they have. But that it was a natural product that comes with the aspect of you have to treat it right. you can't chuck it in your handbag and walk around with it for 3 months and then take it out and go, oh, this will be just perfect again. It's not,
Yeah.
probably. It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So with natural products, there is a care factor. And I think the care factor really comes from the person as well. They've realised that, you know, sticking a Band-Aid on anything will cover it up. But you actually don't need that when you're going for real good personal care items, like, you know, even scents, natural scent, natural fragrance. It's really important for you to actually be conscious of what you're choosing and why you're choosing it. So yes, you can go and buy a cheap supermarket brand, and they can have recyclable packaging, and they can say everything's 100% natural, or, you know, labeling is a thing that I have a big eye roll about because, you know, we can say something's 100% natural and it's petrochemical, you know, half of it's propylene glycol. And you're sitting there going, okay, well, it's a petrochemical and petrol's natural. So, you know, they're not lying to me, but I am not putting that crap on my skin. So that's, education is a big thing. And I think I just want to pass on the education I've given myself in the last decade.
Yeah.
That's big. That's very much where I am at the moment.
And I think you're, you know, as well, your products are certainly, in my perception, are investment in your self-care, because it's not just about making you, you know, having beautiful glowing skin. It's actually, well, your skin's your largest organ. So what you're putting on it is actually going into your system. And if your system is overloaded, if you're putting more toxic stuff on your skin, it just continues with that overload. And this was sort of a theme that's come through a couple of the interviews we've had so far, is this toxic load that we're dealing with, and how we manage to minimize that. So obviously you've got a huge range of products. I'm always staggered when I go onto your website to look for what I, you know, another thing I might try or add into my routine. And I'm staggered at just how prolific you are, which I think is fabulous, because everybody's skin is and tastes is so varied that to have a big choice is amazing. It's wonderful. So anybody looking for that, those sorts of products, can go straight to your website. But those that are maybe sort of at home in isolation at the moment, and wanting to do something about their skincare routine, perhaps feeling they've just lost their job, they're not wanting to invest in new products. What's something that they might be able to do at home now that would just be a step in the right direction?
Right, good question. Okay, so where I started from was my pantry, because I was looking at using, I couldn't use soap. So this is the other thing about all of my products, is they're completely soap-free. They don't even have a soap-like content in them at all. And I was struck with the issue of, how do I cleanse my skin? How do I keep it clean without using soap? Because that's, you know, that's your go-to. You want to clean yourself, you go to soap. Okay, I don't do that. So I started, so I went to look at, I went into anthropology. So I love history and I love anthropology. So I was looking at different civilizations and how they were able to clean themselves, because they didn't actually use soap at the time. Sorry, darling. Yeah. Interruption number one. But that's good.
This is real life, guys.
It's real life. It's live. It's live. So I started to look at civilizations and how they had, and what cleansers they used for you know, cleaning their bodies and also cleaning their babies. Because at the time, if you remember, I just had, or was pregnant with my third baby. So what I found was a lot of botanical powders and oils were mixed together with clays and some other exfoliant kinds of things like salts. And that was what these people used to clean, and water. So soap is quite a new, I know it's old, but it's a new kind of thing as far as humans and how we actually clean ourselves. Soap's relatively a new thing. Body wash is a very new thing. And when you think about the we're talking about toxic load, that stuff has some serious toxic load. So as well as its carbon footprint, because of how much plastic bottles, you know, we waste and that sort of thing. So I would encourage people who are staying at home to have a look in their pantry, to get maybe the oatmeal out, and they can put it in their food processor. That's a good place to start. Most people will have an oatmeal,
Yeah.
and they'll have that in there. They might also have like a tapioca starch or something like that, or maybe a very fine rice flour. So those three are ones that you can experiment with, and you can put olive oil, coconut oil, rice bran oil. I wouldn't put probably rice bran oil, the cooking one, but if you can, I suppose that's something you might have to go away for. But basically raw coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, these are both extremely beautiful things for your skin. So just, get a ratio together where you can make a tiny paste in a little dish, a little bowl, and you can maybe pop some salt in there, maybe pop a little bit of essential oil like a chamomile or something, or a calendula dilution, and that is a nice place to start for making your own face masks or making your own body cleansers and that sort of thing, from your pantry.
Yeah, fabulous. So there you go. We can start experimenting at home in your kitchen with some new skincare regime, and that eliminates another need to go to the supermarket. If you don't have to go and get your skin cleansers from there. So the other thing we can touch on here too is, you have a very broad knowledge of aromatherapy. Now, I know in recent years, particularly, there's been an explosion of aromatherapy, particularly through the big MLM companies. And there's a lot of good information that comes from there, and there's some that I'm not quite so certain about. I'm not an aromatherapist, however. So if there are those folk at home that do have a selection of essential oils, what are some fabulous? Bearing in mind, I've noticed a lot of people talking about antimicrobial oils and things for dealing with the virus. It's a virus. It's not bacteria. So they're two very different things. So what are some that would be useful for personal hygiene in terms of using essential oils, and how best perhaps apply those? Because we know we don't put oils neat on our skin. So perhaps some of the ways that might be advisable to use those.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know that a lot of people are really enjoying a lot of information, because there is so much information that comes through from these MLM companies. They actually have oil education as a high priority for people who buy from them, which I have to commend them for. I would suggest that people who are involved in those MLM companies and buying that product and enjoying it, that's great. Please also read widely. Read stuff from other places as well. This is how I learn. I research as what someone dubbed as a reflex action. Someone tells me something and I just research it. So it's not so much skepticism as that's the way I'm wired. That's my action that I do. So please research. And research widely. Don't just listen to the things on my website, or read the stuff that I've written and just take it as gospel. And I would say the same for anybody who's got one of the MLM companies' information packs. And that's basically my information there, or my advice there. For antimicrobials, so antimicrobials can actually also include some forms of viruses. So when we're talking antibacterial and antiviral, those two are different, but antimicrobials, they'll actually help you with both of those things. So antimicrobial can also include fungal issues as well, fungal spores. So the best one that probably everybody knows about is tea tree oil. So this is an Australian oil. It's produced here. So it has a very low carbon footprint for us Australians if we want to buy that. The next one is eucalyptus oil, again produced here, has all the credentials we want. And then we can also go up to things that we also produce in Australia, but they can be possibly cheaper to obtain, or cheaper amounts of them are made in other parts of the world, like lavender and peppermint. So lavender is good for so many reasons. It's such a good anti-inflammatory and calming agent for the body and the emotions and so many other things. Skin loves it as well. I don't know if you know, Pip, did you see that recent thing I did on my stories where I burnt my finger and I was wanting to try out Gat Fossé? Oh, I was trying to find out if I read Gat Fossé, the father of aromatherapy. I read his book, and it's got commentary by Robert Tisserand, who's a very well-known aromatherapist as well. And in it, he describes how he burnt himself and he put straight lavender on. So immediately I was like, whoa, that's a little extreme. And so ever since I read it, I've been wanting to try it out, but I haven't burnt myself until then. So when I burnt myself, I went, what an opportunity. Here I go with the lavender oil straight on there. And it was fabulous. It did it. I had done all the first aid on my burn, and then it was still stinging like a mongrel. So I was like, okay, I'll try the lavender. Lavender straight on the burn was brilliant. It just took the pain away, helped the burn straight away. So it took all the redness, it took a lot of all the pain away, which was brilliant. So that's one instance where sometimes we hear information and our natural response to it may be quite skeptical or quite dubious, but it's always important to keep that aside and objectively look at the information and maybe do your own experiments as well. That's you, meaning you as an adult with a fully functional brain and the capacity to say yes or no to yourself. Not trying it on, little Billy who stuck his finger on the stove. No, don't do it with them, because they can't say, yes, I want you to do this. And it's, you know what I'm talking about. So and peppermint, again, peppermint's one of those ones where it's such a strong oil, but you can get a really quick reaction from putting a dilution. So it's just a wonderful thing to use for pain, as in more like aches, nausea, that kind of bellyache kind of pain. So, and it's awesome sometimes it's awesome because it helps people's concentration to enjoy. Hang on, I'll just get this to go away. Here we go, real life again. Just somebody kept on pinging me all the time there. I was just like, please, can wait. Okay, so you can use some of these stronger oils in small dilutions so that you can actually get a really quick effect off a very small amount. So people might look at an oil and go, wow, that's a bit expensive for the small bottle. Well, you're probably going to have that small bottle for a very long time. And on the website, I've actually just put up the family first aid kit box, and I've also put the family first aid. Did you see those? They're up there now. So it comes with its own book, which I used to present about 5 years ago as a workshop. I was going to reproduce that workshop set this year, but with the current climate of circumstances we've got, obviously I'm not going to be able to do that. I've just opened it up for people. They can book an online workshop and we can work that out if they want to do that sort of thing. But those 4 oils are the 4 that I suggest that people just have on hand all the time in their home. For exactly this sort of thing, for cleaning, for health, for symptomatic relief, all that sort of thing, and just general well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can vouch for the 4 that you've said. They're actually 4 that are in my in my first aid kit, because traveling Australia, my first aid kit doesn't look like anybody else's first aid kit. It's essential oils and it's bush flower essences, and it's all kinds of strange things that people wouldn't normally think about. But that's how I've cared for my family. So, and we're very lucky down here in Tasmania. We've got a fabulous lavender farm not very far from us. So we've had the joy of wandering through the fields of lavender in peak bloom and enjoying that lushness, and then the beautiful oil that they produce right here in Tasmania. So that's a bit of a luxury for us. So it's a nice thing to have. So we're probably starting to run out of time now, so I don't want to sort of launch into something completely new. But one of your other areas, because you are a multi-talented lady here, is Feng Shui. So people that are at home wanting to make a change, starting to climb the walls, feeling like it's all a bit much, You know, Feng Shui is a very powerful thing in terms of creating the energy in your home and the energy flow in your home. So where would you direct people? Have you got, you've got information on your site with that? So is there a tip for people that might be wanting to start to Feng Shui their home?
All right, so I practice a school of Feng Shui called Flying Stars Feng Shui. So it's a really authentic school of Feng Shui that's based on the I Ching, the Book of Changes, which was the book that even traditional Chinese medicine is based on. So I love charts and numbers. So this particular school just spoke to me very, very easily. And one of the things I would put up there as a massive tip for this year is for people to look at their eastern sector of their property and their home. This has got a particular kind of energy influence this year that can cause, get ready for this, uncomfortable change. And it's also related to, it's also related to family and health. So this influence came into that sector as of February this year, and then it actually doubled up during March. So there is a reason, from my point of view, there is a reason why we saw the global pandemic basically announced during that time. It was coming up, you know, people were concerned about China, then they were concerned about Italy and Spain and that sort of thing. And then boom, it was like, right, it's worldwide now, there is a pandemic, you know, we're shutting borders and all that sort of thing. So that actually occurred at this time when Star 5, which is the influence that flew into this sector and doubled up. It was both the annual influence and it became the monthly influence for March there. The other one that's happening is the center palace. So that's the central part of your home, and it has a ruling influence in there this year that's really directly related to the respiratory system.
Oh, wow.
So this is another one of those, these little aha kind of, ooh, look at that. But it's also related to speech and propaganda and hidden meanings within things that are said. So this sort of thing really interested me, and I was doing a lot of mucking around and looking at that. Now, this Flying Stars has the Bagua, which is your 8 directions and center. So when we have a look at the flat Bagua, the basic earth energy, the 5 star, which is uncomfortable change or pure potential, depends on the way you look at it, it's actually in the center. So if we actually talk about combinations of energy, we had the 7, which is respiratory issues, the thorax and that sort of thing, as well as speech, teaming up with uncomfortable change and pure potential. So when you're looking at Flying Stars Feng Shui, there's many aspects and many layers of influences to decipher and to interpret. And nobody can really forecast perfectly. This is not a fortune telling tool. This is a forecasting tool, so it gives you information about particular directions and particular kinds of influences. Generally though, to get a great response from that influence, whether it's considered low level or high level energy or whatever you might want to name it, if your area of your property is clean, tidy, organised, has form, purpose and activity that is all high quality, you can expect that the best situation will come to you as an occupant of that dwelling. So for example, if you have a high functioning star 7, which is the influence for the speech and the lungs and the thorax and all that sort of thing, you may find that in essence that person will find their voice and speak their truth. So it's a really lovely way things actually happen. If there's low level energy, and I'm talking about things that places that are unloved, uncared for, sometimes they have broken things, or you know, the bits and pieces drawer of a kitchen, you know, that kind of low level energy where everything's a mess and it's disorganized and not, you know, we don't even know what's in there half the time. So that kind of thing. If it's outside, it could be a place where there's mold building, or the guttering's broken, or that kind of situation. There could be just an unloved dead garden bed. those sorts of things will attract the lowest form of the ki that's coming there, or the energy that's coming there. So it's really important just to have a look at the east and the center, have a bit of a spruce up and a bit of a repair day, and just get it feeling really nice and comfortable. You can do that with clean household, as in non-toxic clean household cleaners. So, you know, use your diluted essential oils and use your hot water. Oh. That's all right. Something just fallen over. Never a dull moment. Yeah, so that's and there's a couple of other tips and things I've got actually up on my blog on magicearthmumma.com, so people can go there, have a little read through, just search in the blog for Feng Shui or Feng Shui, depending on how you want to say it, and you'll be able to find the relevant articles.
That's fabulous. Look, I feel like we could just keep talking and talking and talking. There's so much information in there, but we can't. So, yes, I'm going to pop underneath the video, as always, I will pop links to your website, to your Facebook and to your Instagram. So if you are wanting more information, you want to read a bit more about some of those amazing things that Jannette just told us about, you can go there and you can get some more info, and there would be other ways of connecting in with Jannette as well on those sites. So if something has triggered your imagination and tweaked your interest, then that's where you could go. So thank you so much, Jannette. It's been so lovely, and you never know, we may end up having another chat about more of these things a little bit further down the track, see how we all go. So this is all happening on the fly, and we're adapting to doing things because we're working from, well, we always work from home, but you know, we're not always used to having everybody around us all the time. So, you know, things are happening today, doors are opening, things are falling, people are walking in. It's all good. That's just how life flows. So thank you for being real. Thank you for bringing your abundant knowledge to the table, and yes, it's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thanks, Pip. Thanks very much for asking me on, and thanks for organising these talks, because I think the idea of even a podcast is great. It's sometimes we've been on social media so much lately that I've actually been listening to a fair few podcasts just to stop the visual and connect in a little bit more and listen to what's being said. So I really appreciate you putting this all together and asking me on. It's wonderful. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's just my way of staying in touch and getting that beautiful, wonderful, useful information out to as many people as we can. So thank you, and we'll sign off and catch everyone next time. Thank you.
Okay. See you later.
Bye-bye.